Welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with Ashley Mary Nunes, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
No problem. So I guess let's just start with the most recent thing, which I'm kind of excited to hear about, is you went to the premiere of Drift a few days ago. How was that?
Yes, I am very honored to have been asked to join Jen. I absolutely adore her, have always adored her, and we had met years ago on set. I almost forget what Nightmare Clock or something like that. We met and we even rode up together all the way to Lake Arrowhead, I believe, and filmed there. And she has just been so great, and I can't believe it's taken us this long again to work together. And I was just really happy to reconnect with her and go to this premiere with her, which she was in, and she was stunning. And I'm going to tell you something. I really only ever seen her in something that was horror related, and this was something that was completely different.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and to see her on screen and really, showing her talent as an actress that's outside of horror, because you can get kind of typecast within your acting in the genre, but to see her up on the screen and really belting it out, it was really nice. I was very proud of her, and just to see her face and talent on the screen was amazing. The short was amazing too, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yes, because it was showing at the North Hollywood Sin Fest, and along with I believe 4 other shorts. So there's 5 shorts together, and theirs was the last one. And I'm telling you, I was wearing a dress and I had no jacket on or anything, and I was feeling fine. And then their show came on, their short. All of a sudden, I was so cold. It's they filmed in the snow, so that snow, that effect, really transpired into the movie theater.
That's what you want, though, right? So let me ask you, because we can give them a little bit of a plug. What's the general synopsis or idea of that movie of Drift?
I would say it's a romance movie. I know that they said that they filmed it pre-COVID, so some people probably think that it had something to do COVID related, but that was a fun fact that she had mentioned. So Nicole, if you can help me, I don't know, I can't remember her last name, but she's the writer, director, star of the short. That's a fun little fact that they gave at the Q&A afterwards. So I thought that was pretty cool, because going into it, you would think there's some kind of outside illness that's coming into town, not the town, but just in general, the whole entire world,
right?
And fighting against that and finding love, romance, and all that, and just never letting go of hope. And they really pulled it off. There's this young girl that was in it, and she was just phenomenal too. I saw her eyes on the screen, and I was just so convinced. I was like, we need to see more of her, because she's great.
That's awesome. I love seeing people come up through the ranks. So I guess take me back in time, and I don't think you're an LA native, so what brought you to LA, or I don't know how long ago it was? I mean, if it was family or a job or a project.
Well, I am California native, Northern California. Yes. I've always kind of been brought up in the acting world as long as I can remember, because my brother Todd, when he was in high school and I was a young little kid, I remember just like him constantly filming, movies. And this is like, back in like the late 80s and early 90s, so like the film quality wasn't quite there, YouTube wasn't there.
Right.
So all of this, this is just what we saw. It was his passion, and it became my passion. And I loved watching every bit. He was really into horror mostly. And so when I was young, so I remember just driving up the street with my mom, and we would come home, and Todd would have like kids, from the school just jumping out of the windows and stuff, being chased by werewolves. And it was just awesome. Everybody on the street knew us. But
Like, oh, those damn kids.
yeah. But that is how I got basically into it, was through my brother, and with his goals. And I obviously was too young to come with him right away to LA, but I sure did meet him up here, and that's how I got here. I've been here now officially for it's been over 10 years,
Right on.
11, 12 years or something like that. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, when you got to town, did you, and I love these stories because I've been through it. Everybody that I talked to that's done acting or writing or worked on projects has been through it. Did you get into what I call like events or like doing background
Kind of
work?
break it up a little bit.
Yeah, like how you, and then it's like, oh, I love these stories because I was just talking to Trista about this like a couple weeks ago, which is like you're so excited to get into something, get your foot in the door. Next thing you know, you're going to like a casting that's at a karate dojo in a seedy part of town, and you're like, here's my headshot and resume, and they're like, thanks, what are your special skills? And it's
Right.
like so you have to have some like funny stories about like just going for it, going someplace, and then like having second thoughts of like maybe they're not really filming a commercial, and am I going to get paid, and like who are these people?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I was brought up in this business as a kid, it was very different. Now with social media, Instagram, followers, and everything being done online, it makes it more accessible than it was when we were kids, where
Right.
my mom dealt with everything, and she took us, she got us our agents, and it all was very, very legit. So when I came back, I took a long break from it, to kind of, I was a track athlete, and I was always kind of like praised as the track runner. And so I kind of stepped away from acting because you can get discouraged
Right.
a lot. And I stepped out of it after kind of getting the boot from a movie called Jack with Robin Williams. I was like almost cast in that.
Oh,
And it broke my heart when it came time to film it. I was too old. And at the time, because it took 6 years of auditioning.
six
And
years?
yes, it
I've
took
never heard
by
of
the
such a
time,
thing. Maybe six
right?
months,
Or
but 6 years?
let me fix that. That was 4 years. I'm sorry, because by the time I was in the second grade when I first auditioned, and by the time I finished, I was in the sixth grade. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like a big special effects movie, so I don't know what.
I don't know what took it. Maybe it took a while to get it on its feet, and by the time that
Because that
they
was a
decided
Coppola
to
movie,
cast it,
right?
yeah,
Francis Ford Coppola, so he was probably busy. Robin Williams was probably
yep.
busy. So, but I'm not. This blows my mind because I think about the movie and I'm like, there's no like Avatar effects that take like 2 years to do. So,
No, there isn't. But you know what? I still loved the movie
right.
regardless. I mean, I obviously look at my character. It was just like, but
You're like,
what can you do? Yeah. So you get discouraged. And so I was just like, that was like a lot of auditioning for a kid my age, and to be so hopeful and so
and
close,
so close.
and it just being like kind of ripped away. So I stepped away when I got into middle school. I was like, you know what? I'm an athlete. I'm gonna do soccer, track, cross country, wrestling. I'm gonna do it all. And that's what I did for a while until my brother, moved to LA, and he obviously always pulled me in whenever there was something. And that was just, how I got back into it. And when I got back into it, it was a lot different. Things were done differently, and things that I would think that would be easily to get. Like, I'm like, oh, they're doing a student film. Yeah, I got this. I'll get cast. I'm like, no, there's like a gazillion different people who are also auditioning to be a part of this short film that is like just meal credit, no pay,
Oh
like
yeah.
none of this.
So
And
many
I'm like,
people
and
just
I didn't
come
get
from out of
cast.
state that come to LA and they're like,
Yep.
it's one of those things that I think people have stars in their eyes. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I was talking to like Charles on his interview last week, and I was just saying like, and maybe this is something you found too, which is after a while, I didn't want to like be around the people that were like, I'm going to be the next this or that. I just wanted to be around people who wanted to make things.
Yes.
So, like,
Yes.
I was telling him, like, last year when I interviewed Jen Nangle on the podcast, I was like, that's somebody I want to work with because she has ideas, she's a collaborator, and you know her, she's such a
Mhm.
go-getter.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's kind of like was my entry into like the horror stuff. So I give her big props. But I mean, is that like a realization that you had too, that if
Mhm.
eventually you were like, I don't need to be like a 5 and under on NCIS. I want to
Mhm.
be because that's just more, leads to more of the same.
Yeah.
Like people talk about, SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and it's like unless you're like getting guest spots on shows or movies,
Mhm.
you're basically just expensive furniture.
Right. That
Like
was,
that's one of the reasons why I never went for SAG because
yeah.
years ago I was doing a lot of background, and then I was like, well, unless I start working on individual projects with people, I'm just
Mhm.
gonna be that guy walking around in the background, like pretending to eat the corn dog or drink the beer in the bar scene in the way back. It's like, who wants that for, it's nice to have the benefits, I'm sure.
No, no, yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming back into it, well, when I was a kid, it was, separate unions. It was like SAG and AFTRA.
Right.
So it was like, different. But when I came back into it, it merged and everything, and just finding like the work, I think that I found it easier to be non-union for a while just because of that fact, bumping up the resume with newer stuff as me as an adult, not like just me as a kid, with commercials and modeling, print modeling and stuff like that. It's like they don't care about any of that old stuff when I was a kid. So it's like starting completely over in a whole new world, because it's so different. But I did find it different or challenging, because you want to obviously get those better paying gigs, but you also need to have the resume. So yeah, I found it very beneficial for anyone who wants to like get into this business right away. I would suggest, wait on signing up, joining the union, and unless if you're like already kicking butt, go ahead and
Right.
get it. But build your resume. Non-union, it's not so bad. A lot of projects are coming out non-union, so
And people have their day jobs. That's the stereotypical waiter jobs or, temp jobs and stuff. So you're gonna laugh, but I actually know, I think of maybe three people, I think, that have refused to be Taft-Hartley'd into the union, even though they get like a line or something
yep.
thrown at them on a show or a movie. And it's
Mhm.
just like, yeah, it would be nice to get that chunk of money for that one movie that they're working on for a week. They might, but they're like, I might not work for 6 weeks.
Yep.
And if you're union, you might not work for 6 months. So it's like
Yeah.
it's better to stay non-union. And then like one of the people told me, she told me, she's like, yeah, but if I stay non-union, I can go be like a supporting or a co-lead in a feature film and work for 6, 7 weeks and go on location like to another state or something and make a movie. Whereas
Mhm.
if I was just to be SAG, like I could get a line in something and like we were saying, then not work for 6 weeks and then have to
Mhm.
waitress or work in an office. So
Mhm.
it's catch-22. Seems like
Yeah.
you've landed on your feet and gotten some luck and some breaks here, which is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I have to
It's
say,
not
go ahead, go
easy,
ahead.
but
I have to say, and this is gonna make you laugh, because it's the same thing I told to Charles, but you and he both look so much younger than you are that when we were, a couple weeks ago working on body count on the Holly Hatchet stuff, and my daughter
uh,
was there, and um, I think he and I were saying like, she came up and she was talking to him, and then they were like kind of far away from me, and then I think he said something like he looked at her and he was like, huh, "You're adorable," and then he got called to set by Richard or whatever, and then she's like, I don't know why he said that. Like I was talking to him about like, blah 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 on something, and then like TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, honey, he's not a teenager." And she was like, "What? Isn't he like 17?" I'm like, "Well, you can tell him that and you'll make his day, but," and I told him that in the interview and he just died laughing.
oh my gosh, I felt the same way when it's like that was like the first time that I seen him in person, met him in person. I've always seen him on Jen's page, besties and everything. And I'm telling you, yeah, when you see him in person, he's like, no, no.
Some people win the genetics lottery, and like with you, it was funny because we saw the and huge props to Julia Happney and her amazing makeup and everything.
Mm.
But when we saw you in the makeup, at first I was like, "Oh, cool! She kind of looks like Parker Posey in like the Blade three."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then when we saw you like out of the makeup, and Amy was like, "That's not the same girl, is it?" So that's like huge props to Julie, huge props
Oh
to you.
yes.
But like
Oh,
we couldn't
thank you.
believe it. We were like, why are they casting all these teenagers? And then Jen was like, they're not teenagers.
Oh, well, thank you. That is, bless her heart. That is
Yeah, it
very,
was
very
awesome.
kind.
Because that was literally, I think I told Charles too, like that's her first time being on a movie set and wearing like a costume and
Mhm.
makeup and hair and everything. And she was so excited. She was so sad about the fake blood because Julie kept putting the fake blood, and
Uh-huh.
we broke for lunch. And then
Uh-huh.
after that, she didn't put it back on. And then Julie comes running over and she's like, "Oh," and we already shot like a bunch of stuff, and so it was fine. But
Mhm.
now she wants to do more.
Oh, good. Yay. She was so great and so amazing. And whenever I looked over at her, we both had like the dark hair, and I was like, "Ooh, she looks like she could be like my little Minnie."
Exactly. It was so fun. It was such a good time. And I was
Oh,
telling Charles too that I never met Michael and he didn't know I was the writer. And so when I come walking in with a t-shirt and the dad khaki shorts, I introduced
uh,
myself and he said something, and then I think Charles was like, I think he thinks you're just like a stage dad. And
oh,
so later he figured it out. He came over and he's like, "Oh, I want to hear about your podcast."
oh,
But he
yeah.
was
He
really
should have
cool.
came over to the table and chatted it up, during the
Right.
day.
So tell me how you kind of got involved with body count. Are you working on anything more with those stories other than just Holly Hatchet? Are you going to be in any of the other shorts that are in
I
that?
mean, I am so open to work on any other shorts, but so far just Holly Hatchet. You know what? I have been sitting just twiddling my thumbs, and I'm like, you know what, Jen? You got anything for me? You're like, what do you got for me? I'll do anything. I want to play. Like, let me play. And she was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like you're asking me. I'm like, yeah, I'm asking you. So it was nice to have that kind of respect for one another and trust in each other. And so she's like, yeah, down. You want to be a vampire? Yeah, I do. I always have been.
And
So
I'm so glad you did because you rocked it. And one of the greatest things
thank
I
you.
can say as somebody who, makes stuff is to walk into a set and it's like I wasn't acting in this, I just wrote the script. So to walk in and walk around the corner and just hear you guys, cut from a scene and just like die laughing. to me that was like the biggest compliment because like what Richard and I were saying is we kind of wanted to, well, hopefully we don't know until it's done, to look kind of like 30 Days of Night, which that would be amazing. But also to have that like sense of humor of like Ash versus Evil Dead, where it's
Yeah,
we're like Buffy the Vampire Slayer with lots of
yeah.
funny one-liners, you know.
Uh-huh.
And when I walked around the corner and Amy went to makeup and I just like heard you guys just laughing and laughing, I was like, yes.
It was great. It was so fun to work on. And it was just so like really well like for an indie like project. I just there's something about working on an indie set that I just love so much. And I think it's because of the passion. The passion really shows in indie projects. Just the determination to finish, like it really sets a good feeling, and I thrive off of it. And just being on set and working with amazing talent, like it's like all these people should be on like the big screen, like right now it's insane. But
Well, and I gotta
I,
say, and I know we've talked about it just a few minutes ago, but I cannot praise her enough. Is Julie's work is it's one because I've had her on the podcast and I've interviewed her and I talked about her and I've seen other things that she's done, but to actually like be there and like watch her make the stuff and then with collaborating with Richard and figuring out the lighting to make it look the best.
yep.
And then it's like even when you're like 50 feet away, you're like, I don't know what's happening. And then you get closer, and then it's like when you actually see the footage, you're like, this is gonna look amazing.
Right, and that's
And
also
isn't that
too.
exciting to be part of something like that?
Yeah.
You're like, you in your mind, you're like, I wonder what it's going to be like. And then to know that like she's like, I don't know what you would call her, like a pinch hitter in baseball or something, where she just comes in and just like
Mhm.
elevates it to that next level where you're like, this is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I went back and like was looking at some of her work too, and I'm just like, what an honor just to like have you transform me, into this vampire. I was really feeling it.
Oh,
Like
I
as
saw
soon as,
your time lapse
oh, you did?
video. It was so
Yeah,
good. I was like, wow. And look at the cheekbones and the
yeah.
fangs and the white makeup. I was like this. And then the eyebrow remover. I was like,
Oh,
wow.
yeah. That was like, it was amazing. It was just amazing, like watching her do it too, like
And she's
transforming
such a
people.
pro. She's just like do 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 like it's nothing.
Right? And it seemed like and it seemed like a very quick process for what she did with me. I was like, oh my God, like you completely like changed me.
And she's
I'm like,
probably
I
just
never had
so
this.
used to it. And she's like, okay, on to the next one, on to the next
Yep,
one, on to the next one. So
yep.
let me ask you this, because it sounds like a few people have already done this, but have you worked at that studio before? I had never been there before.
No, I haven't worked at the studio, but
I didn't
I
notice
was really
this.
digging it actually. I was like, I took a lot of video and footage
I
of
remember
it.
the pink room, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the pink room. Oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, I absolutely love the pink room.
My
They called
daughter
it the,
kept saying it looks like, is this where they make the Barbie commercials?
yeah,
It
it
was
was
so
awesome.
fun.
I'm just so happy that I was able to like get on there and do a little vampire pictures in like the Maryland
I
suite.
saw a couple, man. They were great. But I don't know. I guess I looked at their website and I think they're only like a year old. So I think that
Yeah.
it was like legitimately a warehouse before,
Mhm.
and they could
Yeah.
rent the space and they film there all the time. So like on future projects, I would definitely go back. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it was a little weird at first driving up there. I was like, where the hell am I? Is this the right place?
Oh yeah. And
Like when we
going up
were
there
parking and there was
anytime is
no
kind of like
parking, I
work.
was like, oh shit.
Yep.
But then once you get in, it was awesome.
Yeah. That's how like just I filmed a reality show, Robot Combat League, and it also filmed downtown in one of those big, huge studios. And it's so crazy because you look on the outside and it's like, whoa, this is sketch. And then you walk in and it's like, oh my God, it's like this whole arena is all set up. And it's insane what's inside all of those studios, that
And I know
everyone's
they do
making.
a lot of photo shoots there. They do music videos stuff there, and just not just that building, but like all the surrounding areas. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's kind of like, and it's like I've been in California for like 20 years, so it's like you would think I would know or hear about those things, but sometimes it just takes a
Yep.
certain project and somebody
Yep.
knows the guy. It's that age old thing of like
Oh
somebody
yeah.
knows a guy who knows a guy.
Who's the
Like
guy? Yep. That's
you
all.
get
That's Hollywood.
cheap studio time after like 4, and then it's like, oh, and then you go and you're like, it's like going into the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. You're like, what the
Yep.
hell? It's like nothing outside.
No.
So tell me about this was a pretty fun topic the last couple interviews. So tell me about a time you were working on a set of a film, could be a TV or a short film, where the director came up to you and it was like last minute, probably I'm gonna guess a horror movie, where and you don't have to say the name of the movie or the character, so that we
Uh,
can keep it fun and light, of something where they came up and they were like, so, okay, Ashley, we are gonna hang you upside down from this tree and then put you on some bungee cords, and the guy with the chainsaw is just gonna come up and you just bounce off the chainsaw. Like anything like that, where like suddenly you're the stunt performer and that's
oh
like
my god.
just sprung it on you.
I'm always the stunt performer. That's why I find it funny. You tell me anything and I'll do it. Unless people are just like, no, 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 Ashley, you can't do this. Then and I never had anyone do that to me before. But they're like, really? Yeah, you would do this? I'm like, oh, absolutely, in a heartbeat.
There's
I
some
that's
stuff you
that
shouldn't
the
do. I'm just
athlete in
saying
me.
right now, if it's dangerous, don't do it. Like when I was talking to Julie on the show,
I mean, as I've gotten older,
you're like Julie was saying she worked on a project and they weren't getting a shot, and so they needed somebody to go crawl around in the LA River.
uh,
And the actress was like, no, I know what's in that river, and people defecate in there, they pee in there, there's like
uh,
syringes, I'm not getting in there. And then she said some girl on the crew was like, I'll do it. And she
yep.
was like, don't do it. It's a long shot. They're not even going to see your face. Like, you're not even an actress, you're just crew. And like, what happens if you get sick? And she's like, it's fine.
It's fine. It's
And
for
Julie was
real.
like, fine for you. Because there's got to be that line where you're like, I don't know if I'm rolling around the LA River at 3 in the morning and then there's homeless guys pooping on the other side of it. I don't know.
Yeah, as I gotten older, there are certain things where it's like, I mean, unless they tell me, like we'll find someone, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But now, I mean, it really hasn't happened to me. I mean, I do go through the thought process as I'm like maybe I should not do this, but the athlete, the artist in me kind of just still, yeah, like I gotta do it.
Well, and then they say too, like if you're working on something in the middle of the night and you want to get it done and you're racing against like the sun coming up and you got to get the shots and everything.
Yep.
I mean, I've actually talked to people and I'm like screaming at my friend like 3 days later when I find out what he did. Like, dude, you're not Jackie Chan. What are you thinking? And he was like, well, they said I had to like run and like get away from the guy with the machete, and I had to like jump off the roof. And they said, we're pretty sure the tree will hold you.
Yep. Yep.
Pretty sure. And like, well, the parking lot would have definitely stopped my fall. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, luckily I haven't done anything too dangerous like that. One thing that kind of stood out to me um, was when I filmed Beasts of the Field with the director Chase Dudley. We filmed during a hurricane that was like, yeah, the whole movie was actually like we had set up to have like fake rain, just like here and there in spots, like just to amplify the production and to give that nice little foresty feel. But no, we actually had real hard rain that happened. And so there was this fight scene that I had against my co-star Amber, and we kind of gone through rehearsal like beforehand, and it was on like this nice mat, and we were just like hitting the numbers like yeah, 1 2 3 4, we were going through the motions. And then when it came time to film it, we looked at like the creek that we had to work with, and we're looking there, we see all these rocks, sharp rocks, I see tadpoles, I see like all kinds of stuff like in this little river. And we like looked at each other and we're like, you ready? Like, let's do this. And they're like, are you sure? We could put a mat down. And I think at one point when it was like a really hard fall, we laid the mat down and tried and like cheated it. But majority of that, yeah, we were fighting in that little, pondish area. And it was probably one of my favorite parts of filming the movie was that fight scene. I don't know what it is. I thrive off of that stunt stuff.
But I mean, like I said, a lot of it, it's like adrenaline, and it's like sometimes the adrenaline goes over the common sense because you're just so wired from doing it, and
Mhm.
God only knows like how many energy drinks they pump you with when you're trying to do a night shoot to keep you like up and energetic at like 3 in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and the directors coming over and the PAs are like, yeah, you can do it, man. They can totally do this. But if you fall, we'll probably have to recast. You're like, oh,
Just don't
what?
fall.
Just grab on. Like,
Grab on.
oh,
Yeah.
you make it sound so easy. You want to do it? Oh, no, 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 no. You're the actor. You got it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, with my background as an athlete, I do feel that I I kind of always wanted to get into the stunt field, but never did because I'm an actor. And so I'm like, I want to stay acting and just do as many stunts as I can on my own before, like, they obviously call somebody in to do all the big stuff. As far as the indie projects, I feel like they've been not big enough for me to have a stunt person. And
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like I've always been able to tackle whatever had been thrown at me. And I love it because, like, I love looking on the screen and you're like, that was me.
Oh
That was
yeah,
me.
for sure, sure. And
Like,
you can totally tell when you look at the footage and you're like, you can tell if it's just like a lot of shots of a girl running away from the camera and you see a
uh-huh.
ponytail wagging and you're like, is that? I mean, because I've been on sets too, like a lot of shows and movies, like big stuff like downtown LA, where I've just seen like they have so much money that literally the stunt guys are just hanging out at craft service all day, and they're like, "You need me? No, all right, easiest way to
Yep.
make money,
Okay.
sitting there shoveling in the crackers."
Yep.
Um, so let me ask you this: what kind of projects, or I know you've done a lot of horror stuff. What things have you not done or tried, or certain creature features or something that you haven't tried that you want to try?
That I haven't tried that I want to try. Yeah, I mean, I definitely obviously want to have that deep Oscar role, like who doesn't? Um, but I think, yeah, having something that you could be completely transformed. I know that the movie X, has gotten a lot of praise with Mia Goth, being able to do, her young self and old self, and that's something that's pretty amazing to be able to play two types of character in one film. And so that would be something that I would be interested in. And I kind of have something like that in the future. I can't really say too much on it, but yeah, in the near future too. But it's not quite like X, so I'll have to say that. But the level of the character and where it goes is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. So I'm very, very excited. So that role that I've always dreamed of is coming very soon.
Oh, very
So
cool. That's cool. It sounds like a transformative kind of like you see the whole life of the character kind of thing.
kind of actually, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up here. We have a few minutes left, so I want to kind
Mhm.
of give you some time to kind of plug some things that are finished, that are wrapped, that are going to be
Mhm.
coming out. So if you want to speak on that for a couple minutes, give them some plugs.
Oh, sure. I'll be super quick. Let's see. First thing. Well, it's horror season, so I have to plug my Christmas slasher, All Through the House, which is an 80s style slasher film that is written and directed by my brother, Todd Nunes. It's kind of created this cult classic in the indie world, which is kind of amazing. And just quickly, my mom made me my own character doll.
Holy cow, that's
So I
awesome.
had to like show this real quick. But yeah, there's that. So I'm excited for all the fans to start coming around and tagging me in posts and stuff like that. That's always fun to see it, every year because it's the Christmas slasher.
That's awesome.
Also, I have a film, As Good as Dead. That's a short film that is hitting the festivals still, and that's director Dave Rita. I'm very grateful to have worked on that film. That was absolutely fun. I got to work with zombies, which were so fun. Also, I have a sci-fi show that's out called Salvage Marines. It stars Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers. Super, super nice guy. It was so fun to work with them. Jenny Winger Van Dien. I don't know how she wants you to say it because they're married. Just very grateful for those two. They have always been just so supportive, and to be on set working with them in Louisiana for like a couple months was like the greatest thing ever. Like you said, working with friends, people that are, kind of finding your group, and that's how you kind of make it in this business, is finding your group, and
Oh yeah.
and just and it was fun. So that I have that coming. I will be working on a reality show, but not personally in it, but working on, and I'm really excited about that. That's coming up real soon. What else? I think I'm probably gonna be like, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that.
Well, I'll toss one out, and I'll say that Body Count is still in production. It's an anthology horror film, and that is produced by and starring Jennifer Nangle.
Yes.
Where she also plays the Malvolia character, which hopefully everyone knows by now, or they soon will.
And I have a Halloween special in that as well. So that will be coming out sometime in October this month, towards the end. So I'm excited for that too.
Awesome. And I do think we will be putting the GoFundMe still for Body Count like in the description, so people can check that out. It's still an ongoing process, so need help with the actors, the crew, locations, props, all that stuff. People like to eat when they make movies.
Right. And every little bit counts. So if you think that, oh, it's just like, $5, whatever, every little bit counts.
We can do better than Fritos and Capri Sun for people. So what's your website where people can find your work? Go ahead and give that a shout out.
Yes, my website is at ashleymarynunes.com. That's where I just post all my work. I do need to update it. It's a couple months, behind, but you can find me on Instagram at girl, the number 1, DER 2002. And I have other social medias, but Instagram is kind of like the only one that I really like stick to.
Okay.
But that's where you can
And
find
do you have a YouTube as well where people can see any of your shorts or anything like that?
I mean, I do have a YouTube channel. I don't really use it very much, but I have been asked to, like, why don't you post some of your stuff on YouTube? I'm like, okay.
They probably just want you to like edit a reel and then you can put a link on your website. But I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. You're delightful. You're awesome, as I knew you would be.
Thank you.
So much fun working with you on Holly Hatchet. And thank you again for being just so nice to my daughter. She had such a great time.
She's the sweetest. You did really great with her.
Well, thank you. And looking forward to nothing but the best from you. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Oh, thank you. And you too. And thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, bye now.
All right, bye.